Hey everybody, Vinny here. Not in the kitchen, we're actually going to be working on my 2002 Grand Marquis. Yep, fancy car. Bought it used. Yep, and that's all the miles that are on it. But it makes a funny sound when you start it. Let's see if you can hear it. Now that horrible grinding you are hearing is coming from down there. The AC compressor is shot and needs to be replaced. So that's what we're doing today. Alright? Alright. Okay, so we are back. I pulled the car up a little bit in my driveway, so once everything's ready to be taken out from the bottom, I can roll it up on some ramps really quickly. The first thing we have to do is take tension off the belt and get the serpentine belt off. So right there I've got my little 1/4 inch or 3/8 inch Craftsman wrench on there. I'm going to slide a pipe over it and torque this over. Okay, and then using this hand, because I don't have my assistant, I'm just going to slide that belt off. Tensioner is just going to pop right back in place. Feels like it might need to be replaced as well. We're just going to slide this serpentine belt off of here. Alright, come on. Now if you don't remember how to run your serpentine back around the engine, that's fine. You could always Google the belt pattern. That pulley's okay. I got a replacement for that one. Here's your alternator, idler pulley. Now, down there is what we got to get to, but we have to disconnect the lines going to it. In order to do that, on this model you have these, right down here you got this little clip and this clip. You got to slide those off. I recommend trying to go for the top one first, and then the bottom they got these little plastic tabs on the side there. Those will end up breaking off, but the clips will still pop back in place, alright? So let me get these off. Damn, the exhaust is already hot. And we'll be right back. We came to a little snag. I ended up taking the battery out. That bastard right there is like rusted. Horribly rusted. So I sprayed it with some PB Blaster. Hopefully we can get some of that rust chewed out of there. Check on it in about 30 minutes or so and see if I can get it off. Yeah. And once we do that, we can finally hopefully get the AC compressor out. Damn thing. Alright, see you in a half hour. Alright everybody, time for a little bit of an update what's going on, what I'm doing. Alright, so down here you can see that little black connector. The rust is way too thick, it just doesn't want to jiggle. It's real cramped working conditions. So what I decided to do was disconnect the two lines that go into the AC compressor this way. So you go to the condenser here, you got this one line here which was connected with one bolt. I took that bolt out, and then I came up here to the can, took this one off. This is one of the ones with the slip rings that I was telling you about. So now we got to go underneath the vehicle to remove Mr. Grindy down there. So let's get under the car and start tearing this thing apart and knock this job out. Let's go. So we are now underneath the Grand Marquis, and it is rusty because I live in Indiana and this car was in Illinois. So, you know, we're in the rust belt. We have no easy way of doing it. Alright, so now we have to remove the AC compressor, but first you need to remove that electrical... Oh, you bastard, get up there. See that little wire right there? You have to disconnect that. That actually energizes the electromagnet, which activates the compressor inside of the AC unit. But look what the problem is. See that? That is the source of all the grinding and gritting and everything. The bearings in this are completely fried. Alright, so you're going to go down here, and it's held on by 3 bolts. 1, 2, and then that one on the right on top, 3. Alright, that's a 10 millimeter. I've got my ratchet with an extension with a 10 millimeter on it. If you're a car guy, you know, guard these things with your life. I've got like 5 10 millimeter sockets, and they're all 3/8 drive. Alright, so I'm going to take the wire off, get these bolts off, and hopefully get this compressor out nice and easily. I can kind of see some restriction with it dropping easily, but I could probably pull it out from the top, but we'll see. I'll be back. If it isn't obvious, I got the old AC compressor out. Can you guess which one it is? It's obviously the one on the right. Alright, so I got the old AC compressor out. I'm going to take this nut off here to mount this whole assembly here. Now, if you got a kit online, it comes with gaskets. Use those gaskets with it, okay? And then we're going to transfer all of this to this, throw it back in the car, reconnect the lines, and I'll be back in a few minutes with that. Yay. I've got the assembly transferred from the old one to the new one, so now I had to go through the top to take it out. I had to take the coolant reservoir out, and it's got to go right back there in that hole. But just to show you how messed up the old one was, let's just stand it upright, whatever. I'll lose whatever that neon stuff is, but see? I don't think they're supposed to be this wiggly. Then you go to the new one, no movement. This one, it's pissed. Oh, it looks like it lost one of the, okay, that's one of the little silencer things too, okay. Still rotates. Maybe just couldn't activate. Who knows? But it's time to put the new one back in. Alright, everybody, we are, oh, Jesus, Mary and Joseph. Alright, we're under the car. I got the bottom two bolts and that top bolt right there lightly threaded in. Now remember, using your 10mm socket, you're just going to lock this in place. Remember to plug in your electrical cable, alright, once you're done down here. And then we'll move to finishing it up top, alright? So once you get the AC compressor in position, just start threading those three bolts in place, and then you can move to torque everything down and finalize the installation, alright? Alright, so once I get this torqued down, I'll see you up top. We are now looking down from the top. There's a new compressor there. So now I got to reattach the lines I took off to get this whole assembly off. You got this guy right here, and just push and jiggle and it clicks in place. Right, and then you take the little slide lock, come here, right there at the top. That's going nowhere. Then, using the bolt I've got, reattach this line. I did put a new gasket on it. The old one was orange, this one's green. And that just has to get attached in there like that. Sorry. Yeah, see? And while I'm up here, I'm going to do it off camera because it's pretty simple. I'm going to replace this pulley here, just because, why not? But let's, I'm going to get everything tied down real quick, and then we can get into vacuuming down the system so you can finally charge the AC. Alright? Alright, back in a little bit. Even though this wasn't part of the original, install of the new AC compressor that's down in there, I replaced this idler pulley. Now that the idler pulley is installed, we're going to reinstall the serpentine belt. If you don't remember the pattern that your serpentine goes, you can easily look it up online, and usually it's under the hood somewhere, but unfortunately on this car, it's nowhere to be found. Go figure. Thanks, Ford. But, so what I'm going to do is rerun the serpentine belt throughout the engine. And also, oh, side note, quick sidebar. If your tensioner acts goofy, like if you pull it over and it gets stuck there, jiggle it back and forth a few times, and if it doesn't regain tension, you're going to have to replace your tensioner. Alright? And depending on where you go, you're only going to get this little tensioner part, not the pulley. So you're going to have to just do both. But let me rerun the serpentine belt, and we'll have this thing pretty much ready to go here in a minute. I've got my serpentine belt routed according to the diagram. I did have to look it up because I didn't remember it. Alright, up around the top if you have the same model. Alright, straight around the power steering pump down there. You're going to go underneath the crank pulley, around the water pump pulley, over the tensioner, down over the compressor, up over the idler. Alright? The easiest way to run it is AC compressor over, crank the tensioner over as far as you can, and then just throw it over the power steering pump last. Or if you don't want to try to finagle your hand down there, you can always go over the alternator last as well. So we got the serpentine belt installed. I'm going to throw the battery back in, and we'll start it up, and hopefully we don't hear that horrible screeching sound. Got the battery reconnected. I put some grease on there, cleaned the terminals off because they were pretty nasty. This is one of them little dinky Ford Motorcraft batteries that came with the car when I bought it. I'm probably going to put something better in it. Yeah, I get it. It's a Grand Marquis. It's nothing fancy, but I give the car credit. It's a 4.6 liter V8, same engine that's in a Mustang. The car just happens to weigh a crap ton more than a Mustang, even though I'm not a fan of Ford, but I like this car. Alright, so let me clean my hands off because I don't want to get the interior greasier than it already is, and let's turn this over and see the sound difference, and then to the next step, vacuuming out the AC system to prep it for a charge. Alright everybody, it is the moment of truth. Truth! Hey! No screeching. No crazy noises. Belt lined itself up. Alright, sweet. So now I just got to clean all these tools up. Camera froze up. There we go. Clean all these tools up. Vacuum out the system. And then charge it up. And hopefully the AC works. Woohoo! Get it! I'll be back once I get that vacuum pump hooked up. Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm so sorry, it's dark outside. I had to go to family dinner and I completely forgot to continue recording. But the AC compressor is installed and now we are vacuuming down the system. Now here's what you need to know. I rented this unit from AutoZone. It's about $300. You get the money back when you return it in one piece. The blue line goes to the low side, the red line goes to the high side, the yellow line goes to the vacuum pump, alright? Now what we're doing is just pumping down the system. We're waiting for that gauge there. If you couldn't hear me, we're waiting for the gauge on the left side to read -10. And then what you're going to do is close both blue and red valves and wait for about an hour to see if there is actually a leak. Because if you lose vacuum, that's how you know you have a leak. Now, this is a very small vacuum pump, so this is going to take about an hour or two to vacuum the system down before we can actually add refrigerant to it. But again, this came from AutoZone, $130 rental. You get the money all back when you return it. So I got the vacuum pump, the gauge cluster, all the hoses and fittings. As you can see, I've got them hooked up. If you're unaware, that's the low side right here by the can, and then the high side's right here. Alright, here's your vacuum pump. Yellow line shoots right up to the gauge cluster in the middle. Blue line straight down to the low side. Red line straight down to the high side. Alright? Alright. So we need to let it sit for about an hour or two to vacuum out the system, and then we can add refrigerant to the system. And we will get to that step when the time comes up, so I'll see you in a while. Hold on. So I hit a little snag in the installation of my AC compressor. Okay, the AC compressor went in just fine. All the lines are hooked up properly. But as the night progressed, I did not see the system pulling a vacuum, so what I decided to do was I had a little bit of Freon left in an old can. I hooked it up to the low side and gave it a quick little spray, and immediately heard a hiss coming from the front of the car. The condenser has a hole in it. So guess what the next video is? How to replace an air conditioning compressor. But so far you guys have seen how to install an AC compressor and how to vacuum your system down. Once I replace the condenser, then you will actually see the full process. So please like, subscribe, and comment, and hopefully here next week I will be installing the condenser when it arrives. So thanks for watching. Catch y'all later.